All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. Today, I have an awesome guest. This is David Anzuelo of Uncle Dave's Fight House. He's choreographing tons of Broadway shows before the shutdown, off-Broadway shows. He is a badass. He's a great actor and a better person, and a very, very interesting person. And he's seen it all. He's been there at the beginning of Intar and Labyrinth, right?
Well, close to the beginning of Labyrinth, and no, not at the beginning of
Oh no,
Intar.
no, Intar, no. I'm confusing it with Labyrinth. You were pretty close there. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
My bad.
yeah. I wasn't I wasn't in the original 13.
Uh-huh.
I was in their first round of auditions.
Nice.
So yeah, back in
Nice.
'92.
Yeah. And you're originally from El Paso, right?
That's correct.
And when did
Yep.
you move to New York?
July 1st, 1989.
Nice. Nice. And did you
Yep.
always wanted to be an actor, or how did you end up over there?
No, I didn't always want to be an actor. I wanted to be a writer. Um,
Yeah.
but and specifically, I wanted to be a poet. But then I found out like you make $0 as a poet unless you're like you have to
Yeah.
teach
Yeah.
or poet laureate,
Yeah.
or really love the spoken word circuit.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. I just liked writing poetry, but then I started turning them into song lyrics, and that's where it kind of like was more satisfying.
Yeah, because you're
And
you're into the punk rock.
I'm into a lot of
A
kind of
lot of
music.
stuff. Yeah. I've been watching your
Yeah,
playlist. You've been
yeah.
posting.
Oh, you have? Yeah,
Yeah, dude, I keep up, man. Yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
Like
like,
yesterday, I was listening to Pharrell Williams and Missy Elliott,
uh-huh.
but like I just discovered Omar Apollo.
No,
And you don't know Omar Apollo,
no,
dude?
I
Well,
don't.
see. Like, I just found out about Omar Apollo. He's Mexican American.
Really?
Yeah, he plays the guitar,
Yeah.
writes his own music and
Hmm.
songs. He's queer,
Really?
and and he's blowing up. He's blowing up, and he's independent, so he can do whatever he wants, release music whenever he wants.
Oh
Doesn't have
man.
to hold back. He's collaborating with everybody.
See,
Yeah.
I'm always behind with music. Like like it's really bad. When I was in high school, I remember in one particular class there was a kid that was all into Tool. He's like Tool
Oh yeah.
wore all the shirts. Remember with the wrench and the tune the
Yeah.
that album cover, and I was like, man, Tool sucks. And I was just a hater, dude. I was a hater. This is like in 2001. And it wasn't until about maybe a little bit before I moved up to New York in 2010, 2011, that I was like, oh man, I need to call this guy and apologize, because I love Tool now. And that was the same thing with like Led Zeppelin. I was super late to dude, super late.
Whoa,
Dude,
dude.
I'm late. I'm late to everything. Once I'm stuck in my ways with music, like I'll just listen to that particular band. So I'm probably missing something right now, or hating on something now that I'll probably like in 15 years.
Oh, see, yeah, yeah. Like, I, I, I was I hung out with a lot of groups and no group. I didn't belong to any groups, but I hung out with
Yeah.
a lot of groups in high
Yeah.
school. And so, like, I hung out with the stoners at lunchtime,
Yeah.
and so like we listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin,
Nice. Yeah.
and a lot of Pink Floyd, and we'd get high with my buddy, Duffy's parents at lunchtime. But I hung out with the cholos at PE because we didn't like to suit out,
Yeah.
but I was part of the new wave punk rock scene,
So like,
so I hung out with them. And my choir buddy Turi, he was a rocker dude, so I was listening to everything.
when
Yeah.
Suicidal Tendencies was out,
Oh yeah,
you
dude,
just wanted to
totally.
get them Pepsi. That's all
Yeah.
you wanted was a
Oh,
Pepsi.
all I wanted was a fucking Pepsi, and she would
Give me
have
a
given
Pepsi.
to me.
I just give me a Pepsi, Ma. I just want a Pepsi.
Institutionalized.
Yeah. So okay, so you wanted to be a poet, and why New York? You know,
Oh, you know why? Because well, I wanted to be a poet, and I was in the creative writing magazine at my high school in El Paso,
Okay.
and you know, I wanted to be in a band back then, and I
Hmm.
was in the guitar club, but I wasn't that good. So like, they said, we like your songs, but we don't want you.
I've been there.
so so I said, well, you can't have my songs.
Yeah,
I'm going to play my songs.
exactly.
And
Good for you.
but then my dad brought me home a VHS tape of Zoot Suit one night, and
Mm.
he says you got to check out, you know, because I was starting to get interested in theater, and movies, especially. And he goes, this guy does movies, and he did this play,
Yeah.
because my dad was real into Chicano rights
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm
and
sorry. Yeah.
the Chicano movement,
Yeah.
and so he knew about Teatro Campesino
Okay.
and Luis Valdez. So he said, check this out, and I was blown away by
Hmm.
Olmos's performance.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And so when it was time to graduate, my dad says, "What are you doing? You have you can join the military, you can go to school, or you can get a job, but you're not staying here." And I was like, I'm joining the army. And he was like, you have half a brain. Make the
Yeah.
Air Force or nothing. And so
Yeah.
like, and so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go to school then if I can't go to the army.
That's good.
And so I went to school, and he was expecting me go into law,
Yeah.
uh, because I like to argue. He says. But I didn't go into law. I signed up. I brought home my curriculum. He was all like, intro to theater, theater practicum, history of contemporary. What is this? Where's your science? Where's your math? And I said, I'm a theater major, Dad.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not paying for this. And I was like, okay. So I sold my comic book collection.
No.
Yeah.
For theater.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then the second year I sold my bedroom set, so I slept on the floor.
You know what? I did that. I slept on an air mattress for 6 months once. I
Yeah,
mean, we got to
I
do
love.
what we got to do for theater.
Yeah, I like sleeping on the floor.
Yeah.
So that was that, and and um, I chose New York because that's where theater really was happening. Because I
Yeah.
I started reading.
Hmm.
I started reading, American Theater Magazine. I started reading Interview Magazine, and I started being attracted to like performance art,
Yeah.
theater, and like the nightlife scene, the club
Yeah.
kid scene.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of like mix it up and do all of that because I was really into the Velvet Underground
Hmm.
and the exploding plastic inevitable with Gerard Malanga and his bullwhip dance. So I learned how to
Yeah.
do the bullwhip. I got leather pants, everything. So I really want to go and like, do that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make any money either.
No. So we're on a roll here.
Yeah, no money, no money, no
Yeah.
money. So,
You know.
but I always worked. I worked survival jobs. I worked jobs that were going to educate me. I worked at movie theaters. I worked at record stores, so I could listen to everything for free, see everything for
Okay.
free.
Yeah.
I was a house manager at the Cherry Lane Theater, so I could see plays and get to watch. Like I could study a play for its entire run, and I would be on first name basis with people like Richard Venture and Phyllis Somerville and Richard and Maltby, and I mean Maltby and Shire, and Tony Goldwyn, and uh,
Wow.
so I Daryl Roth was my boss,
Yeah.
before she was the Daryl Roth,
Yeah.
so that's what it was. It was an education. It was like my version of grad program for
Yeah.
free, and be paid minimum wage.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you did that for how long? You worked
I did that.
survival jobs, and then when did you like? For me, like when I decided to go to New York, I
Yeah,
had no intention because when I got into theater,
yeah,
I didn't get into theater till late in life, like till I was like not late in life where I was like 50, but like when I was 25, later than most, because a lot of people know either they've gone through the one act kind of thing in high school, or the undergrad where they're 18-year-old and they go straight from high school to theater programs because they know they want to be on in the stage or on TV and film. I wanted to play football, and then I realized I was injured. I tore my shoulder, and then I was too short. I'm 5'10" to play linebacker. I wasn't even fast enough. So it's like reality hit, and it hit me hard. So I decided I'd rather party than anything. And I think sowing the wild oats was in that section. Then I realized through working survival jobs, I didn't do any survival jobs that I would learn from. I mean, like in your way, like where you worked at a theater, or I worked the survival jobs that made me realize I don't want to work these jobs ever again. Like they sucked. Like I was like 22. I was working customer service for DirecTV, like on the phone.
Oh, yeah.
And it was awful. Just people complaining
Yeah.
about the outages or the blackouts during football Sundays, and I couldn't see like the money I wasn't even making. I was single and I was living at home, and I had coworkers that had like 2 or 3 kids and barely making it. I was like, man, I can't do that. Like more power to them for, hustling and trying, but I couldn't do it. And I needed to go back to school. And that's when I got into theater because I needed an easy A. So I took an acting class. I took an acting class. Thing is like, this is easy. I did this in high school. Like drama class was always, we didn't do drama in my high school at that time. Now apparently now they have like a theater program. They put on productions and they do all this stuff. But back then we would play cards and take naps. Like literally the only theater, like just to say that we did theater, we would listen to the soundtrack for Into the Woods every day. That was our theater. And
we had a theater class where they wrote plays, but I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
They didn't have, my first high school didn't have theater, and my second high school didn't have theater, and my grade schools didn't have theater. They had talent shows. And I was never able to get in because the talent that they wanted was like, they wanted like either lip syncing, like air guitar kind of bands. That was really big back in the 70s. Or they wanted actual dancing with like acrobatics, and I didn't really do that.
No.
Or they wanted like, a lot of people from the band and orchestra would play their instruments, and I wasn't in that. I played guitar in high school, but I wasn't interested. They had the teacher student talent show, and I wasn't interested in that.
Yeah, no, same. Like I think we put on a play. It was Sweeney Todd, but not the musical version. And I played the Honorable Mr. Chang, and it was one of the most racist things I've done. Like it was just like we're high school kids, and it was just awful. And I think the setting of this Sweeney Todd, the version of this Sweeney Todd, was like in San Francisco or something like that. It was either like I mean this is like 20 years ago, and I don't remember the full details, but it was awful. It was like you look back at some performances and you're proud of, and then there's some that you're like, I really hope I don't run for office and this comes up. You know what I mean? Like this is really gonna get me kicked out.
Well, I did my first commercial when I was 6.
Jeez.
And so because my mom had a friend who I don't know what her friend did, but there was a local department store called The Popular, and it was kind of like J.C. Penney sort of store.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist anymore. But they were doing their back to school campaign for tough skin jeans, and the tagline was tough skins, they're tougher than your kids. And so they said, hey, does David want to be a kid in this commercial playing on the swing set, and he falls down, and he gets hurt but the jeans don't tear. And so like my mom was like, do you want to do this? And I was like, okay. And it was so boring for me because like I couldn't actually play.
Yeah.
and I couldn't get dirty,
Yeah.
and they made me like sit in place and wait till I was supposed to pretend to play and
Yeah.
pretend to fall,
Yeah.
and then this pretend lady would pretend put a band-aid on me,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is boring. And I said, I never want to do this again. But then I did it again when I was 18 because suddenly I wanted to be famous at that point.
Yeah.
And so, talk about racist. They
Yeah.
had the Showtime Funniest Person in America contest.
Uh-huh.
And so they were saying, everybody wants to be the funniest person in America, even people who aren't Americans. And they showed me like being smuggled in a trunk from
Yep.
across the border.
Yep.
And I'd pop out of the trunk with a rubber chicken.
Yep.
So that was it.
That seems about right, right?
Yeah, it was 1980.
Yeah, no, that's totally normal. There's shows now that we were watching, like Rosa was watching that show Sister Sister.
Yeah.
And she's watching it now, and while she's working, it's like kind of like white noise, having it on in the background while she's like writing reports or filling them out. And man, I'll walk in and catch like a couple of minutes of it, and it's just like some of this stuff, like first of all, I think this was on Nickelodeon or something like that, right? I don't remember what it was on, but they have some really perverted like lines with those kids, and I'm like,
really?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
So I mean, even if you haven't seen it, you can catch some certain things. It's like one of the Roger is the name of the kid. It's Omarion's brother, I think. The guy from the singer, Omarion, and it's his brother. And he plays a character named Roger. So he's kind of like the neighborhood kid that just hangs out always at the house. And he's always saying like, hey, it's part of the job fueling me up. And, it's like really like straightforward. They're not even beating around the bush. It's just straightforward. So yeah, man, there's like certain things like you could, I mean, that they did. I don't know if you should have done back then, but they did back then that they will never touch now. Like Steve Carell said that they could never do The Office now. He said, like a few months ago, he's like, yeah, we could never make The Office. If it was done today, we can never make The Office.
Really? I'm not sure about that because South Park's still running. But that's animation, so.
And they're kind of grandfathered in because they've stayed running.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think what Carell was saying is like you couldn't pick up a brand new show like The Office and have the success that it has if it started in 2020. Just because of his character stuff. And I think he also said that he wouldn't play that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Good for him. But, that kind of helped his career, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, you think?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit, So was there anything in particular other than, the theater jobs that kind of got you into the mix? Or did you meet people? Was there anybody you got connected with? Like,
Yeah. Well, because I started working right away. I arrived July 1st, and by July 5th, I was employed.
Really?
Yeah, but not how you think.
No, I totally get it. No, you had a job. Didn't mean
no. I was employed in show business. Okay. But I was an Elvis impersonator in a musical review for a carnival.
Nice.
I toured up and down the New England coastline with an act called Music Dance USA, because when I sing, I can kind of sound like Elvis.
Yeah, I can see that.
And so they put me as young Elvis with the leather jacket, white T-shirt, and the blue jeans. So it was like cheap costume. And I sang an Elvis Presley medley in the middle of the 1950s section. Jailhouse Rock, Teddy Bear, Heartbreak Hotel, all those songs. And I actually got mobbed and tackled by like women, like housewives and like everyday carnival attending ladies would pretend. I guess they bought the fantasy at this state carnival, the state fair, and they tackled me so hard sometimes that they would break the microphone.
Yeah.
And I would have to be like dragged out by the roadies.
That's amazing. Okay, at that point, what year was this? This was
1989.
89?
Yeah.
Were you fully out then?
Oh, no. That didn't happen until 94.
94. Like, how was that with your family in New York with, doing theater.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that.
People
See,
think that.
because I mean, I've always, uh, I've always been like my dad wanted me to be a lawyer because
Yeah.
I don't mind, pushing back.
Hmm.
I was in martial arts since I was 11.
Yeah.
I didn't shy away from fights ever.
Yeah.
I was always in fights, and I fought before I learned karate and taekwondo. I fought dirty.
Yeah.
I'd
Was it
sneak up
because
and
you were getting bullied or because you just wanted to
yeah, I
fight?
was I was I was getting bullied a lot because I hung out with the nerds. We were the kids that made good grades. We were Mexican American, so we were called ocho,
Yeah.
which means you're basically rotten. You're
Yeah.
you're not Mexican and you're not white. You're just rotten.
Yeah.
And so we got picked on by the white kids who hated Mexicans. We got picked on by the Mexicans that were actually from Mexico.
Yeah.
And then we got picked on by the military kids that were only there for however long their family was stationed there.
Yeah.
So that they would come in and like, they would hang out with each other, but they didn't really want to hang out with anybody else.
Yeah.
And being a nerdy kid on the honor roll, National Honor Society, and student council, and all that, we got picked on.
Yeah.
And so I was a skinny, little, underweight, asthmatic kid with glasses, but I was also the one that would like bash you on the head with his lunchbox when you weren't looking, or smash your fingers in the locker when you weren't. And if I couldn't beat you up, I'd go get your little brother.
Okay.
And I would tell the guys that would beat me up that were older, I said, every time you beat me up, I'm going to get your little brother. So just know that.
Dude, you're vicious, bro.
I was vicious.
Yeah.
That's why I should have been a lawyer. No, no, but that's what happened. Then I got in martial arts to try to give me structure and discipline.
Yeah.
And I took to it like a duck to water. I was city champion by 13.
Yeah.
I competed in all the tournaments, and then as an adult, I returned to it in New York, and I competed at the U.S. Open International. I placed,
Nice.
gold, 2 gold medals in forms and board breaking, silver medalist in sparring. I taught. I'm licensed to teach here in the state of New York.
And did that taper down your altercations within school or outside of school or whatever? Like I mean,
well, what happened was that like these guys that like had it in for me for years. The one time they thought they'd get me in front of my own front yard, and my dad told me, he says, if they kick your ass in your own front yard, I'm going to kick your ass way worse, because I had come in with blood on my shirt and all that.
yeah.
And so I went out there and I just like busted loose all my taekwondo moves on them and kicked their ass. And they were like, where the fuck did you learn to do that?
Yeah. Like Daniel LaRusso.
Yeah. And well, except kind of, yeah.
I mean, but tougher, because Daniel LaRusso was not. I mean, I can't see him winning that Valley tournament at the end of that movie, but that's a different story.
Well, yeah, I didn't have Miyagi, but I had my teachers were all Green Berets that had settled in El Paso.
Okay.
So they were legitimate military badass guys.
Yeah.
And they took. I met Chuck Norris when I was 11.
Amazing.
Yeah, because he had his movie premiere, Good Guys Wear Black, and he came to El Paso for a publicity tour. I was the runt of my school, so he put me on his shoulders and took a picture for the newspaper. And that was my first experience at a publicity shot. Yeah. With a Taekwondo expert turned movie star, and so like all these things just kind of kept merging. And so like it all led to like where I am now, which is interested in like storytelling with very physical movement stuff. And
did you ever want to be an action star? Because I could see how that could play into that. Like, did you ever want to be? Because back then, you had Chuck Norris, Steven Seagal came in later. You had like the American Ninja. Yeah, Seagal's.
I'm not into Seagal, but I am into Charles Bronson.
Bronson, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Dude, I saw, there's a picture of him. I don't know. It was like, who was his wife at the time?
Sandra
He's,
Locke.
yeah, and they're walking along the beach, and he's wearing a polo, and that dude is ripped,
Yeah, he should have
ripped.
played. If they had made the X-Men back then, he would
Yeah.
have played Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He would have
yeah,
been perfect.
yeah. And he was short. He was not like
Yeah,
Hugh Jackman's tall. So,
yeah. Man, no, he's
but yeah, that's what they called me at my dojang. Because I had lamb chop sideburns
she had the
and thick,
mustache.
I had thick black hair, mustache, lamb chop sideburns, and the little kids called me Wolverine. So,
So would you ever want to play Wolverine? Did you like
uh,
Wolverine?
I
Or what?
liked Wolverine. Yeah, because he was a samurai,
Yeah,
so and he was short, and so like I related.
yeah.
Yeah,
I liked Wolverine. He's my favorite X-Men and favorite comic book character because he was smaller than all
yeah,
of his enemies.
yeah.
But he
He's
was
like 5'3"
feisty. Yeah, 5'3", and he was hairy. I was hairy, and
and
I
heavy.
was smaller. Yeah, and I get picked on all the time by my cousins. Like I would get beat up. I remember one time I got beat up by like 3 of my cousins, like physically beat up,
And to
and
me, you're big.
I grew. That was the thing.
Yeah,
They didn't
yeah,
expect that. Like I grew, and yeah, I'm bigger than all of them now that were picking on me then. So that's why I really like love Wolverine. And now you say that Bronson should have played it. I was like, yeah, you're right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah. That's why. And I was very aggressive when I fought in tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like really aggressive. So, and I fought until my 30s,
Mm-hmm.
which is very old for to fight
Yeah.
full contact black belt.
Mm-hmm.
And so they would say like you're too small for your your age weight division,
Mm-hmm.
but your weight and size proportion is appropriate for the younger division. So you have your choice. You can fight somebody who will hit you very hard, or you can fight someone who's a lot faster than you.
Yeah.
And so I'd pick based on like who I thought I could,
Yeah.
psych out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cause like I remember I started doing Muay Thai back into 2005, I think, 2004, somewhere around there. And I was weighing about 250. And if I was
Mm,
ever gonna fight, like I would look up who's fighting at 250. These guys are like 6'7",
yeah,
six
I
five,
fought.
and that reach, and they're ripped. And I'm just,
They're a lot longer. Yeah,
yeah,
I fought at 155, which was like cruising weight,
yeah,
and
that's a good weight.
so it was a good weight because I was fast, but I
Yeah,
still had some strength behind my kicks.
yeah.
So
Do you still practice
yeah,
every
yeah,
day, or do you like a
um,
little bit of something every day
yeah,
to stay
exactly. Yeah,
fresh?
I do nunchucks like 4 or 5 times a week. I love it. I love it.
That's so. Do you carry your nunchucks with you in the city?
No, but I'm always armed.
I was always armed when I was in New
Yeah,
York.
but just not like a weapon that you would think of.
Yeah,
So
no. There was like a time where there's a guy that was selling shivs, like shanks, but they're big
you've been,
pens.
yeah, you make your own, dude.
Is they're big pens. You put the cap on. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? And then when you take it off, it's you're ready. You're ready to go. I almost had
yeah,
brass knuckles too. A couple times I would in the
yeah.
back pocket. At one point, I used to carry brass knuckles all the time. It's just
They're legal, dude.
yeah, I know. You gotta, I was ready. I was, there's people that do much worse. If I'm gonna go to jail for some brass knuckles, fine. You know what I mean? But I also would carry I had a Yeti. The little, like this. This is a Yeti cup.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
But
those.
I have one that's like a canteen sort of thing,
Yeah,
and it had a handle, and it's heavier metal than this one, so I could swing on someone. I always had that in my hand when I
yeah,
was walking around, man. Because like New York, like you always had to keep your eyes open, no matter what. I mean, when I was there in that short period, I was there for 8 years. You probably seen a ton more than I have, you know but they had the knockout game going on. They had the face slashers going on. You just had
hmm
random people confronting people on trains. It's just there's always
yeah,
something, and it's just always
yeah,
going to stay vigilant. And I've always kept my eyes open, for
yeah.
that kind of stuff, man. And like, did you ever feel like that unsafe in New York? Like, because like when I was in New York, it isn't the New York that everyone thinks of. Like when I moved up to New York, I remember people were thinking that it was like the New York of the Warriors. There's
Well,
gang graffiti everywhere and all that.
even though I didn't move here till '89, I was
Yeah,
coming to New York since 1984.
yeah.
And so I lived in Alphabet City with the burning cars,
Hmm.
and I lived in lofts with six other people, and it was the kind of loft that like you took a freight elevator up, and we
Hmm.
had a motorcycle. The loft was big enough. We had a trapeze and a motorcycle, and but it was
Like,
also the kind of loft that like you had to crawl over junkies in the morning
yeah,
who were passed out across the elevator entrance outside.
yeah,
And three of my roommates got mugged coming into our loft.
yeah,
So yeah, it was dangerous, and I've been in several altercations on the subway and one on the street.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I fought these two guys on the subway and ended up with a concussion before going on stage for a show at theater for the New City.
That's dedication right there. That's dedication right there. I and if you look at Alphabet City now and the Lower East Side now, it's changing so fast.
Yeah, but now you gotta look out for visiting terrorists. You gotta
Yep.
yeah, you gotta look out for Proud Boys.
Yep.
You gotta look
That was
out
happening in
for
the Village. A
yeah,
lot of that. Yeah, and then the Proud Boys, they started out of Brooklyn
yeah,
with Gavin McGinnis was starting it. He said he started it as a joke, but then some people just ran with it in a totally crazy way, and he didn't stop it. He encouraged it. And I remember there was a few years the hate crimes going on in the West
hmm
Village. Remember
hmm
they were attacking gay folks and I think Jews in
yeah.
that Jewish people in that
They
area.
they still are.
They still are. I mean,
Yeah,
it's crazy. And I remember being there. There was 2 explosions, 3 explosions. I mean, in the last
yeah,
5 years.
yeah.
So yeah, no, it's always crazy. Do your parents ever worry? I mean, did they worry about you? I mean, if your dad said like, if you get your ass kicked in the front yard, I'm gonna kick your ass over here. I don't. It's like, yeah, he'll be fine in New York. Or
Well,
your
he
mom?
wanted to. Yeah, they were worried about me, of course. And my dad really wanted to bring because I have several guns.
Yeah,
And but I leave them in Texas.
yeah,
And he says, I'll bring them, I'll mail them to you, I'll ship them to you. I know how to, I can get them to you. And I was like, no, do not send my guns because I will shoot somebody.
yeah,
And then I'll be,
yeah,
I'll be in Rikers.
yeah. We had when my father-in-law passed, we inherited like nine different.
Yeah,
One was an SKS. We had like so many, but Rosa was like, "You're not bringing them up here,
yeah,
to New York." It's like,
no, no.
not at all,
So I
man.
rely on my heavy duty mag light that I
Yep,
just clubbed somebody with.
yep.
I've got weapons in every room. I got bow staff. I've got fighting knives. I've got side blades.
Always had a
So
knife on me too,
yeah.
a small knife, a work knife.
So yeah, but yeah, they were definitely worried. And but like I wasn't really targeted for gay bashing. The time that I got in a fight on the subway, I think it was a gang initiation
Yeah.
because I didn't know the person next to me at
Mm-hmm.
all, and he started like talking to me, but there was a guy behind me
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know they were together, and
Yeah.
so like he was man spreading that thing.
Ugh,
So I
that's
just
annoying.
so I was sitting sideways learning my lines for the show I was going to go to,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then he started like whispering in my ear. He goes, you fucking punk ass pussy. And I was like, you talking to me? And I said, I'm trying to do my lines. I
Yeah.
was like, and then so I started mouthing off, and then I stood up, and then he punched me, and he had a ring, and so it cut my eye, and blood started spurting out everywhere. So I wailed on him, and then his friend
Yeah.
punched me in the back of the head, and I saw stars, and I said, damn it, I'm gonna die. I better like hang on
Uh,
to this pole because if I hit the floor, I'm dead.
Yeah.
So I held onto the floor. They both wailed on me, and I guess they got tired. And everybody on the train, it was the D train, that they were screaming, but nobody
Yeah.
would help.
Yeah.
And then when I just saw blood pouring down like a water faucet, and so when they stopped, I looked like Carrie covered in blood, and I was just like, I said, "Is that all you got?" And they were like, and I said, "It's my turn," and they went, "Rah!" And I went Wolverine on them, and I kicked one out.
You were literally seeing red.
Yeah.
It's just going down.
And,
Oh,
and
wow.
so I kicked one in the solar plexus, and he went down.
Yeah.
And then the doors opened, and his friend picked him up, and they ran away because I was howling like a werewolf.
Yeah. That is so crazy. And that was on the train or on the platform?
No, it was in the D train, 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
Yep, that's why I think it was a gang initiation.
Oh man. So like I remember like a few years ago they were doing the gang initiations where they would slash people's faces.
It was like that because
You're lucky you didn't get slashed. Did they have a blade or anything?
he had a blade on his ring, and that's how I got slashed here.
Oh, so that's why it
Yeah,
was okay.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, wow,
yeah.
wow. Man, like I remember, so I was staying at Mando's and Serena's place, Serena and Mando's place when I first moved up. It was when y'all were doing Sangre. I was staying there, and remember they moved shortly after that. He did the play, y'all did the play, and then they moved out to LA. And I was in grad school, and you know, it's just one of those long days. Everything happens on one of those long days, right? Where, you know, you've been out since 7 in the morning and you're barely going home, maybe at 10:30, 11 at night. And then just everything goes wrong. You know, I get to the L train, which is always shut
Mm.
down. And I am going down the platform. This is on 8th Avenue. So the very last stop. And as I'm down at the end of the platform, there's just a puddle of blood on the floor, and a guy was drunk. So there was no violent confrontation. The guy was drunk. He had fallen back and busted his head open.
Ooh.
So that was one thing. So then the paramedics came down. The dude did not want to be helped. He was like, I don't know if he was like Dominican or Puerto Rican, but he didn't want to be helped by white people. And
Mm.
they're like, "Sir, you're bleeding out. We need to help you." And he's like, "No, no, no. I don't want no white people touching me." And it's just going nuts. And so we were there for like half an hour. Everyone was waiting for the train. And the time went on for another like an hour. And then the announcement came on that the surface was shut down because there had been a fight at the Bedford stop. So on the Brooklyn side, and they had fallen into the platform as they were fighting, and they had gotten killed.
Ooh.
And so that is just like one of those things. That's why I asked, like, if it was on the actual train. I mean, you don't want to get into any of those kind of situations, whether you're on the platform or on the train. But if you had to, you know, I'd rather be on the train with closed doors. But you know, sometimes you can get away on the platform.
Well, yeah, I would rather fight on the platform, which I have.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned about the people around me getting injured.
Yeah.
And so like I tried to keep the focus on me. That's why I let them wail on me, so that because there was kids around, there was
Yeah.
older people around.
That makes
And
sense.
so
Yeah.
so I said, I know I can, unless they jam a ice pick up my spine, you know, I
Yeah.
know I can withstand this because that's what I did in tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And but then, you know, as soon as, you know, the doors opened, they took off because I was retaliating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bystanders were very funny. They were like, "There was two against one, but he acquitted himself very well."
He acquitted himself. You know, that's what's funny. You can remember these sort of things when even in like the craziness and the mayhem that goes on, you'll remember one of the dumbest things like that the people say, or like you see, like it's kind of like when you see a fight or something, you're like, why are they wearing that shirt? You know, it's like that shirt does not look good. Like, it's nuts.
But like afterwards, I was like cleaning up my own blood. People
Yeah,
gave me tissues, and so I was
yeah,
cleaning up my blood, and they were like, you got to go to the doctor. I said, no, I got to go to work. They go,
It's like,
where are you working? I said, I got to do a show. I'm an actor. They go, oh, that's very hard. And
yeah.
I go, here's a flyer for the show.
You had a postcard ready to hand out?
I handed out
That's
flyers.
amazing, dude. But what better like promotional like stunt? It's like, you know what, the guy who he's got to be like, this is got to be like an intense. That was a stunt show. They're probably going home. It's like, no, it wasn't a fight. We thought it was a fight. Like people are telling a different story right now at home. You know, it's like, yeah, they were on the train. These guys, they had like I guess there was some kind of fight group, and one like, cut the other. It was fake. It looked really real. It looked really. He was like literally. It looked like he was bleeding. It was like WWF.
Yeah.
And
No,
no, and he handed me a flyer. And I guarantee you, I should have gone to that show. It was very good.
I had rehearsal, so I ran to rehearsal. I showed up bloody. Estelle Parsons was directing the play, and so she was like, "What happened?" And I'm like, so I told her, and she goes, "So you won the fight?" And I said, "No, I wouldn't say that." She goes, "Well, you." I said, "I survived the fight." She goes, "In other words, you won."
Oh wow, that gives new.
Meaning,
Yeah,
yeah, any fight you can walk away from, you won.
you won.
So,
Yeah,
but she made me go to the doctor, and they
good.
put a little butterfly thing,
You know,
bandaged my head. Luckily, my character was a soldier, so it looked like I had a war injury, you know. So
that works out. But that
yeah,
gives a new meaning to I can't. I have rehearsal. Yeah, like you. That's a valid. Like I can't. I have rehearsal.
and then I did the show, and I forgot. I had like short-term memory loss. I kept calling people the
Yeah.
wrong name, but somehow I remembered all my lines and entrances and exits.
Dude, it's fascinating what the mind can do. Even if it's like, you know, not working at 100%, like our minds are fascinating. I there's this fantastic actress and that I had seen, and she Jackie Revere, and she had a stutter. And if you're like
Mm,
talking like we're talking,
yeah,
she um would basically um it would be hard for like a full thought to come out sometimes, and the sweetest girl, but then I'd see her on stage
no
and
problem.
crush it, one of the most powerful actresses. um it's crazy what the mind can do. I'm sorry
Yeah,
here.
yeah. When it's rehearsed, there's no stutter.
No, no, it's
No.
it's amazing. And even like with singers or just people, they when you have that there, and it's just it baffles me, and it's amazing what our mind can do. It's kind of like you getting your second wind, or that kind of like you're seeing red, and it's like, ah, you know, it's like when you get that, you got like a little a pep talk in your mind. It's like, you can do this. Don't be a puss. It's flashing back. It's just like spiraling back. All the little memories. It's like, you'll shoot your eye out and all this stuff. You're like Ralphie, dude. You're like Christmas Story Ralphie on the train, though.
Yeah,
That's
but
amazing.
yeah. But now that I'm old, I
Yeah,
prefer to practice invisibility more than anything. So,
dude. So here's the thing. This is just like me being really honest and kind of like dealing with. I don't know. I'm not. I guess it's like a mid-30s crisis or something like that. But when I was younger, when I was in my early 20s, I told you I'd party and I was drinking a lot, and hanging out with nefarious people. And my friends, my group of friends, were a very, very rowdy bunch, like a violent bunch. If you know, it's kind of like we came to do two things, like drink beer and chew bubble gum, or like chew bubble gum and kick ass. And we're all out of bubble gum, you know, one of those things. And we just never brought the bubble gum, so we just wanted to fight. You know what I mean? And it was just one of those things. Like everywhere we went, every weekend, there's somebody getting in a fight.
yeah,
And I remember being rowdy, and I remember like going after guys who I had a gun pulled out on me a few times. Um, I remember kicking a dude's truck, you know, because I thought he had hit one of my friends, and it was just a joke they were playing just to see what I would do. You know what I mean? And everyone was watching me jump this poor kid, you know, who said he had a gun in his truck. So I kept kicking his truck, and I was like, "Come on, you pussy, bring it out! Like you know, you can shoot me, I'll still kick your ass," and all this stuff. And then fast forward like you to me, that was me like 22, and I'm 35, 34, and I'm on the train, and I'm like, man, I'd get my ass kicked if this guy jumped me, you know? Or it's like, and I'm just like, where is this, like where did this like the gusto that I had, where did it go? Like I need to do something like physical, and I don't like. I kind of lost that edge somewhere along the way, and it sounds really weird. I don't know why I'm bringing it up. It's just, but like you're telling me about that, and there was a few times like I did get in a few confrontations there in New York. I mean, it's inevitable. There's gonna
Yeah.
be days everybody gets in anything where
Yeah.
I had a knife pulled out on me walking home to my apartment, and I was just like, I snapped back then, but then, maybe 2-3 years after that, I just hit like this lull where I'm like, man, if something happens, like this guy would kick my ass or this one, it's like,
Well,
kind of
I,
felt like weird, dude.
well, I can kind of like offer some theories on what changed.
I got
Um,
married.
well, that's one of them. One of them is that after 25, your brain finally is finished growing.
Yeah.
Before 25, your brain literally is not complete.
Yeah.
So you don't have a sense of permanence, and you don't have a sense of mortality in
Yeah.
its fullest extent.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
after 25, you do. And then, as you said, you once you were married, you had something to lose. You
Yeah.
had someone to live for that you could have taken away from you. You
Yep.
could have your future with her taken away. You could have your life potential taken away, and suddenly all those things are pushed to the forefront in their value, and you have something to lose. A lot of the people who are like, mugging you, and they don't have a lot to lose.
Yeah, no.
So
And that makes sense because if that's the case, then I was in this kind of sowing my wild oats phase between 19 and 24, 25. And I had no vision, no purpose. I mean, I love my friends to death, but I had to separate myself from them because it just like there was just getting to be a little bit too much with the drinking and like the fighting, and um I got dragged by a car.
mhm.
And just that sort of life, and that does make sense now because it starts clicking to me now. I started getting more focus in this last 15 years after I was 24, 25. And I do have to say though, the protective instinct has kind of come back now that I'm a father, because there was a
Yeah.
situation where a guy was on his cell phone, and I walked, my daughter on up out, like we walk in the neighborhood. This dude was on his cell phone and he just rolled a stop and almost hit us. And I just had some words with him. Like I tapped his truck and like I went up to him and I was like, dude, what are you
Hmm.
doing? You gotta get your head out
Well,
of your
yeah,
ass.
the paternal instinct kicked in.
It's so crazy
Yeah.
how that works
Yeah.
out, man.
Now, how old did you say you were?
When that
In
happened,
the mid 30s. You're in your
yeah,
mid
I'm
30s.
37 now. Yeah.
So like yeah, and I'm 54.
Yeah.
So like when I was your age, that's when I was all these things I'm telling you stories about happened.
Yeah. But
I was
also,
old.
well, also it was a different New York.
It was a little bit different. It was a
The
little bit
90s
different.
New York is different than 2010 to 2020 New York. Much
Yeah.
different. New York is always going to be crazy. Like I try to explain to people how you can have, what is it, like a 13 mile by 6 mile? Is that it? 13,
What?
like the Manhattan. Is it like 13
Oh,
miles north and south by like 4 miles, 5 miles, like across? I
uh,
don't remember what it is.
I don't either.
It's small, and you got 8 million people, 9 million people. People are going
Yeah.
to lose their temper, especially in the summertime when it's like 1,000 degrees in between buildings and you're sweating and you're cramped up like sardines in the train, and you have to work and you have to walk and you have to go through rain. Like tempers are going to flare. People are getting bored. I remember when Sandy hit,
No, yeah.
we were walking around the neighborhood. We're in Jersey City, and a few blocks away from our apartment, like just you could see that in people's eyes. Like I could see this. It took me back to when I was in my early 20s. I was like, I told Rosa, I was like, we're not going to be walking through here in the next couple of days because I just feel it. I know something's going to happen. And sure enough, within 2 days, they had a curfew on our neighborhood
Mm,
by 6 o'clock. They were holding
yeah.
people up at gunpoint for phones and money. And I'm like, there's no electricity. What are you going to do with your phone? You
Mm,
know what I mean? No electricity in the area. We didn't have it for 6 weeks. So like, what are you trying to do?
that's a
And
long time. Yeah.
yeah, man. And then I can see that. But New York will. thrust that on you. And it's weird leaving New York and coming back to like South Texas, where everyone moves at the pace of a snail and everything is just like, dude, I get home. I've been getting homesick for New York like crazy.
Well,
And
it's not a ghost town.
I know it's not like and that's the thing, dude. I have to explain this to people all the time. It's like, it's not a ghost town. Well, no, the news says it's like a war zone. They're looting every single place,
No,
and they're murdering everybody. Everybody is getting,
no.
like, literally the population is cut in half by 5 million. Like, they're murdering everybody. And I was just like, you realize every week I talk to someone from New York on this podcast. Like, there's usually someone from New York or LA. It's not
Yeah.
what the news is telling you. They're just
No, it's not New York, 1977 to 1985.
no. They think it's the Warriors. They think it's
Yeah.
actually Escape from New York.
Yeah.
They have to
Yeah.
go save the president from Trump Tower. They have to send in Snake Plissken.
Yeah, I like that movie actually.
Awesome.
Both of those movies, The Warriors
dude.
and Escape from New York.
I love them. Yeah, they're huge.
But yeah, no, it's not. It's
Oh.
you know, once Times Square became Disneyfied, it became a whole different thing. I worked at what is it? There's this theater on 42nd Street, and when you go into it, they have this like electric sign that gives you the history of the area.
Yeah.
They said that there, on that block alone, there was like 10 to 15 felonies, committed every minute.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
And now, like, it's tourist central. There's Five Guys, and you can go to the museum, and you can go to
you can go
safe.
anywhere. It's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, there is always, like you said, there's always the threat of some sort of terrorism, but it's a big city. It's going to be in any big city. I mean, we did have the guy with the car that went through Times Square a few years back. I remember that. The other guy who blew himself up down there by Times Square on 42nd Street, like in that tunnel.
But then in El Paso, they had the guy that killed 22 people.
Exactly. That, and it's in El Paso, or it's in like some other small town in the South, or in a school. Like, schools are more dangerous than New York.
Grade schools.
Grade schools. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Here's a weird story about that, about school shootings. I was a sophomore in high school when Columbine happened. And I remember this was like one of those weird times where I think Columbine actually happened on a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like 9:00 in the morning. Like, school had just started. I was like in first period. And this is McAllen, Texas. So thousands of miles, couple far away from Columbine. And we get the emergency alarms go off, get out. It's not the fire drill, it's the emergency alarms. And we were outside of the school because there was a bomb threat, and we're out there for 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours. So it was legit. And so all of our parents were asking if we were okay. My mom was asking if I was okay. And I was like, yeah, it was just a bomb threat. And luckily there was nothing. There's always somebody trying to call in a bomb threat, but not like to this extent. She's like, no. Did you hear about what happened in Colorado? Did they tell you that in school? And like, no. There was a school shooting, a really bad one. I was like, oh shit. And that happened almost at the same time, almost as when that bomb threat. I was like, kind of just like that happened. Well, it was in the spring, and we were having football, spring football. And I guess you could see how that impacted the rest of America and how it would set the tone for the next decade or two. Because within the next couple of days, we had the same kind of threats at our school with the same sort of kid. And it was a Friday. We're having a scrimmage in mid football class. So it was like 11 o'clock, noon, whatever it was. When we got back into the locker room, all the football team, because it was the whole football team, we're having one of the spring scrimmages. We shower and we're going out to lunch because it was right before lunch. Football period was right before lunch, and the school was going crazy. People were trying to leave. People were leaving. We saw like cars as we're leaving the practice field, leaving. They had arrested like I think 2 or 3 people with guns, and they found them
Whoa.
in their locker. They had like a 45. They were wearing their trench coats, and
Copycats.
the copycats within days.
Yeah.
And that set the tone. And this is like you said, it wasn't New York. This was in small town Texas.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's
feel like
crazy.
small towns are scarier.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Like when I go on tour, I'm more like I'm more have extra alert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going to like Silver City or little towns
Yep.
upstate. I'm in and out if I got to use the bathroom or put gas. I'm in and out. I don't waste
Yeah.
no time.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep it
I've seen
moving.
Deliverance.
Yeah,
That stuff
another
happens.
good movie.
Another good movie. Yeah. And I'd
Burt
be the one
Reynolds.
squealing. That one. And then I just saw The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh yeah,
It's another
yeah,
small town,
yeah,
but
yeah.
those are
So
nuclear towns. So you're closer to that in El Paso. Where you were?
yeah, yeah. White Sands.
Yeah. So yeah, that's so yeah. So New York is crazy, and you've had a pretty great career there. You know, you've got Uncle Dave's Fight House. Can you explain, what that is and how that came to be? Because
Um,
that's within the
sure.
last 6 years. Did that start in the last six
A
to
little longer
10
than
years?
that.
10 years?
Like about going on 8.
8.
Going on
So
8.
when I
Yeah.
first, so it's basically when I first moved up there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
starting out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had been acting and doing my little side hustle jobs, survival jobs,
Mm-hmm.
working at bars, working at a movie theater. Um, but I was starting to work with some frequency at regional theaters
Mm-hmm.
and had started doing fight direction on my own for Labyrinth Theater Company
Yeah.
and Rattlestick Theater Company. So I was getting a little bit of momentum, but
Yeah.
then things started picking up. So when I would book a job out of town and the jobs would continue to come in, I was like, I'm losing a lot of money.
Yeah.
I could be drawing 2 paychecks. And so one night coming home from my bar shift, it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I logged on to Facebook just to see what was going on. And I saw my buddy Alfredo. You probably know Alfredo Narciso too.
Yep. Just saw him
Um,
on Monsterland on Hulu.
yeah, I saw him on Facebook, and I was like, dude, what are you doing up? And he was like, I just couldn't sleep. And I said, I just got home from work. I hate this. Coming home at 4 o'clock, the next 2 days
Yeah.
are shot
Yeah.
because my sleep pattern's all messed up.
Yep.
And he was like, why don't you quit?
Yeah.
And I said, and do what? And he was all like, do the fight direction full time,
Yeah.
and I said, I don't know if I could. And I mean, like, what if it doesn't work? He goes, then go back to the bar.
Yeah.
The bar will always be there. So I started it off with you know Jerry Rodriguez
Ah,
and Jesse
no.
Gaguzis, and it was the 3 of us. And there was a Nico Grelli who's no longer with us, and Jesse's no longer with us anymore. Either they Jesse decided to leave theater, but yeah, we started working pretty nonstop, up to like 5 projects at a time.
Yeah.
Um, off Broadway, and then we landed our first Broadway show, Disgraced, directed by Kimberly Senior,
Mm-hmm.
with Gretchen Mol
Yeah.
and Karen Pittman, and so that put us on the map. And then after that came American in Paris, because Craig Lucas and I had worked on one of his off Broadway plays, and so he requested me, and he said, I want him or nobody else. And so that gave me my first big musical on
Yeah.
Broadway, and then we got another musical and another one. We got
Mm-hmm.
represented by ICM, and so and then we got 2 Drama Desk nominations, and so it just like
Snowball.
it just snowballed in ways that I did not ever anticipate. Um, and it allowed me in rooms that I would never have gotten to be in.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, I got to work with people like Lynn Nottage, Ayad Akhtar, Moises Kaufman,
Yeah.
the names you want to work with,
Yeah.
and that's what happened, and so suddenly we were we were just five actors. Now it's Sean Fletcher Griffin, and Ocio Mendez,
Hmm.
and Jerry Rodriguez, and Aldo Uribe, and myself, and
Yeah.
we're all either Mexican
Hmm.
or LGBTQ.
Yeah.
And that's the paradigm that I shifted in our direction,
Yeah.
so that it was people of color and queer people who were creating the illusions of violence for the American theater at sometimes the highest level,
Yeah.
and most often requested by playwrights, directors, and actors who we looked like. They were of color. They
That's
were
awesome.
So it wasn't just straight white men telling them how to react to violence on their bodies, often within a social and racist context.
Yeah.
And so we were able to navigate that choreography with empathy, as opposed to just cookie cutter moves or
Yeah.
sympathy. We worked from a place of empathy because we had lived racism, we had lived oppression, we had
Yeah.
lived violence on our bodies.
Yeah.
So we were able to nuance it in a way that had not been done before, and hopefully we inspire others to follow our lead, so that it becomes normal for choreographers of color.
Wow.
And we moved into intimacy direction for the same reason.
Wow. That gave me chills. Like seriously, like the way you explained that, I never thought about that being presented in that way. Do you know what I mean? It's people who have experienced violence on the bodies in a different way than what you've seen in the cookie cutter world. And it makes a lot of sense now. It makes so much more sense. And it's also bringing in more representation into the theater world, the cookie cutter world. Like, I mean, you're going to hear this all the time in New York. It's like Broadway is this, Broadway is blah, blah, blah. But bringing in different perspectives, bringing in different visions, whether it's direction, whether it's writing, whether it's fight choreography, it's going to change it. And I mean, it's a shame of what happened to Broadway this year,
Yeah.
until next year. How does that affect your business?
Well, that's interesting. It seemed to kill it completely, and luckily, I mean, for me personally, I put my actor hat back on, and I've been doing Zoom readings and Zoom
Yeah.
workshops. But we recently, got hired to work a 4-week guest artist residency for the spring of next year at the Old Globe,
Oh, wow.
teaching stage combat, and they requested us specifically because we're people of color and we're also LGBTQ.
That's amazing. Congrats on that.
Thank you. Yeah, so it ensures our survival through the
Yeah.
shutdown.
How does that going to affect, like when you go into teaching a residency like that with COVID still present, how is that going to change the way you approach stage combat? Because you do have to be physical. You're going to sweat. You're going to be close in close proximity, or how's that going to affect, or have you thought about how that's going to play into
Oh yeah,
going into
I've already
productions in the future if this
already
COVID is not going to be taken
no
care of?
no we if I don't have a lot of gifts. Like, I'm not a phenomenal actor, I'm not a phenomenal writer, I'm not a phenomenal uh, musician. But I think my greatest gift is my imagination and my power to conceptualize.
Mm-hmm.
And so I immediately, upon the shutdown, had ample time to meditate and dream about reconceptualizing the way I would work in a room
Mm-hmm.
under these specific restrictions.
Yeah.
And so I imparted those concepts to my team.
Yeah.
And so some of it employed what we already do. We always go in pairs to every project, so that one, there's accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and two, sometimes if there's a communication block with an actor or director, sometimes just having the same thing said in different words by a different person
Yeah.
will get through. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do you hack into this actor's brain so that they can deliver they can deliver the action that's needed at the moment.
Yeah.
And so that's why we always work in pairs. And so we will continue to work in pairs, and we will continue. And so that means we will quarantine together.
Yeah.
And when we're working at the Globe in person, we're working with students who will have been quarantine
Quarantine as
potting
well.
together. They
Uh,
and so they will work with set partners wearing masks.
yeah.
And I like to be outdoors, so I requested to work outdoors.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That's also really fun too to do. And
yeah.
you said that did you didn't hang up your acting hat fully before that, right?
No, 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 no. I like acting. It's fun. I have
Yeah.
a movie coming to Netflix in the December, I think,
Yeah.
December 5th. So, oh, you froze up. Did I
Did
lose
I?
you?
Am I good? Hello?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There, you're back. You're
And I'm
back.
back. Jeez, I'm telling you, the
Yeah,
internet,
yeah. So, yeah.
the internet's been bad here. So you have a movie coming to Netflix next month?
Oh, do you connect your? Yeah, yeah. In December, I think, December 5th.
Nice.
A New York wedding, a New York Christmas wedding. And then before the shutdown, I did Halfway Bitches at the Atlantic, Stephen Gergis's play. And then after
Yeah.
that, I did Mother Road at the Arena. And then I came home, and 2 days later, they shut us down.
Dude, I mean, it's
So,
heartbreaking. Like when I first started this podcast, I was getting, so this was right in July. So I had Jackie Guillen on here, and she
yep,
was like, what, a week into her show, 72 Miles to Go. I had my friend Carrie Fuller.
yep.
She was 4 days into rehearsal for Jagged Little Pill. 4 days shut down.
Oh,
Ashley De La Rosa, she was the first woman of color to play. I'm blanking out on Mean Girls, but
mm,
she was on Broadway. She was doing the Hamilton tour, the and Peggy tour. They got shut down. So it's just like heartbreaking. Like, it's not like TV or film where, you shot something in January, you
yeah.
can still be seen in December
December.
or, or,
Yeah.
or November, or even in January if you shot like a couple of things. And that's, it's harder for theater people right now because it's going to be shut
It
down
is.
for a while.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But I'm an optimist, and so I feel like there's lots of innovation coming.
Yeah.
I've embraced Zoom, and I encourage everyone to keep their chops sharp by
Yeah.
doing any Zoom project, even if you got to call up your buddies and say, hey, let's read some Shakespeare or Shaw or Lynn Nottage or Susan Laurie Parks, Luis Alfaro. Let's just read it on Zoom so that we know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
Should we get asked to do, and then just keep your chop sharp and like I love watching movies, so like every night I'm having my Halloween festival,
Oh, we got to
and
talk about
and
that.
that's what I promised myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I promised myself that I wasn't going to create anything
Yeah.
for the duration of the shutdown, but if I got invited to do something, I would do
Yeah.
it.
That's what I was talking to you all
So,
about.
but I ended up writing 2 poems.
But that's something that's something you've been doing for a long time. Since you're a kid.
Yeah, and they
Eh,
fell out. They
Yeah,
fell out.
it's
They
just one
fell
of
out.
those things, and
I
that's
didn't have a choice. They
and
wrote. They
I
just popped out.
absolutely, and I get that. I was talking to Yoel Vasquez about this a few weeks ago, and it was one of those things where when the shutdown first happened, there was these memes going around where they were saying, I guess it was like a few weeks into the shutdown, so people were very optimistic still. You know what I mean? Like it was before the doom and gloom, and all this crazy stuff started happening around the country. But there was a meme going around saying, Shakespeare wrote some of his greatest works in isolation, and someone else did something in isolation. And so people were like, you know what? I'm going to come out of this quarantine either ripped, with written my great American novel or whatever. And for me, like, I wanted to create, and for a few reasons, because being down here in South Texas, I feel like I'm out of the loop than I was in New York, which is not true. It's amazing what we do have. Oh no, internet. Can you see me?
I can
Okay.
see you and I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. It's amazing what we have with internet. So I was able to, when I moved down here, I was getting auditions in January, and good ones. It was like probably the best January I've ever had, ever. Best January I ever
Oh
had
yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of
yeah.
auditions. It blew my mind. So I was happy with that, but still, there's just me being 3,000 miles away from. I have creative friends down here, but like, it's I hate to be, I don't want to be mean, but it's more hobby. You know what I mean? Or it's kind of like we want to do this
Hmm.
out after work, and that's totally fine, and that's great. But the people that were doing this, every day, breathing it and living it every day, they're in New York, and I was missing that, and I was like, man, I got to do something, and what am I going to do? And I started trying to write, or I shot something. I shot 2 episodes of like a little web series about us moving down here, but Yul told me, he's like, you know what? Just take this time to chill out. Like take this time to breathe. Like, you have what most fathers wish they had. Just
Hmm.
just all the time in the world to spend with your kid. And
Yeah.
she's at an age where a lot of fathers miss out on. So
Hmm.
I got to see her first steps. I got to hear her first words. I'm seeing her every day and grow. And that's one of the biggest blessings that I've been able to take away from this whole quarantine. So I get it. Like, I understand like wanting to create, but I also I think I still battle with it, but I do feel more comfortable saying, you know what, just breathe, relax.
It's called, what I call it, replenishing the well,
Yeah,
because as an artist, you get tapped out.
yeah,
It's like anything. Like if you're an athlete and you just go nonstop without resting, your body's going to start tearing.
yeah,
The muscles are and tendons are going to tear,
yeah,
and then you're not going to be at your best. You may not ever come back from it. That's what happens to tennis players when they're too young and they're pushed too hard.
yeah.
Um,
Gymnast.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you're
crazy.
just pushing too hard, too much. You have to rest. You
Yeah,
have to replenish the well, and so that's could be what's happening. You may be discovering, your gift for, interviews. You may be
yeah.
deciding that you enjoy being a DJ.
Oh, I would love it.
Um,
Yeah,
you may move forward making films.
yeah,
You may form some sort of New York, Texas coalition, New York,
yeah,
Texas, LA coalition. That's something I'm working on with El Paso. I'm
yeah,
working on a New York El Paso exchange,
yeah.
and so I'm talking like Georgina Escobar about a
Hmm.
relationship with UTEP,
Yeah.
and so
I would love to
all,
do that down here as well. Just like you said, that kind of, having the New York, LA kind of connection down here in South Texas, because as you know, like, there's a ton of dudes and dudettes from the Valley, where
yeah,
there's a ton of folks doing stuff in the industry.
yeah,
Like, you got Mando, Michael Ray, Raul, Tanya, um,
Audrey Esparza,
Audrey Esparza,
yeah,
JJ,
yeah,
a ton of folks from the Valley. And then there's
Tanya Saracho,
Tanya Saracho, like, I'm supposed to talk with her in the next few weeks,
yeah,
too. I just want to pick their brains, and I would love to just have something set up, at my undergrad. Just, there's just so many opportunities. There's kids, they're hungry for more.
yeah,
And I'm also finding out there's more people outside of our little circle doing stuff like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The new reboot that's coming out is shot and directed by guys from the Valley, from the Rio Grande Valley. The director's from Harlingen. The DP is from my high school. Well, he graduated a year after me.
yeah.
You know what
See,
I mean?
so there's all of this to be explored,
It's amazing. And
and this is a short period of time. I
yeah,
mean, this is not the world's first
yeah,
pandemic.
No.
you know, and this is not the first time, humanity has been shut down,
Yeah,
so, you know, it's gonna, if you take care of yourself and survive and adapt, embrace evolution, you're gonna be fine.
we'll be fine, and life will go on, and there'll be something else that's crazy. I uh I did get from this experience being down here and being in quarantine certain projects or writing ideas about writing about this area to break the stigma that it has currently. You know what I mean? Like when they talk about the kids in cages, those pictures are
Mm,
from here, McAllen, Texas. Like you see all that, and that's a huge issue, and that's something that they should tackle. But it, the Rio Grande Valley isn't just, and El Paso is the same way. It's not just drugs and racism. There's
hmm.
people living lives, and this these are aspects though of the moral dilemma that we have down here. There's just a lot going on, and it's just I'm trying to like formulate the ideas in a sound way where it's just not cliche that you you would see in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like that you wouldn't. It's going to be something different, a different portrayal of what small town American life, like kind of like what like an August Osage County, but that happens down here. They're just different
Hmm.
cultures, different
Yeah,
people.
yeah, uh, yeah. I think you should write. That old adage: you should write what you know.
Yeah,
Your life.
yeah,
Write that.
yeah,
Write about friendships. Write about your crazy friends that were when you were kicking trucks.
yeah,
Write about those stories.
yeah.
Write about
I
the stupid drama club.
do,
Talent shows
yeah,
I couldn't get in.
yeah. I mean, and that's just one of those things. Is also kind of bringing that kind of confidence to write about that to the newer generation down here. I remember when I was in undergrad, I had written a piece that I was pretty really proud of, but you know, we have people. Yes, we're Mexican. Yes, we're Mexican American, but some of our friends have kind of white names. You know what I mean? Like I have a friend named Josh. I have my best friend's name is Patrick, and like my other friend's Skippy. Like this, like these are the people I grew up with. And one of my professors said, maybe you should, in order to like think about getting this produced, you should um, change their names a little, like Patricio or Josue. And I'm like, no, I'm just like, we need a little bit more of people that look like us, you know, teaching down here, or sharing that confidence that we can write about us. We don't have to.
You know, I, I just really loved the whole punk rock attitude. It's like, you know what? I'm just gonna do what I do. I don't give a fuck if I'm not the best guitarist. I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck if I'm not the best singer. I just know I can express something that
yeah,
is uniquely mine,
yeah,
and that's what you can do.
yeah,
So like just write it, just
yeah,
write it your way.
yeah,
You're the boss. You're the god of your world's
yeah.
creation, and if somewhere down the line there's a $20 million deal offered and they want you to change it to Patricio, then maybe you'll consider it.
It's like is my little girl going to college? I might pay off my college by then if that's the deal. Yeah.
Right,
Oh
but
my.
till then,
Yeah. No.
you have complete freedom.
Yeah. It's just like that artist you told me, Omar. The
Oh,
one
Omar Apollo.
Omar Apollo, like you said, he was independent, so he could do what he wants. There's no
He does
restrictions.
what he wants.
You can see when artists were hard, and then you can see when they sign with the big label, or the label starts sticking their hands in it,
controlling
controlling.
controlling what they do.
Like I'm a
Yeah.
huge Lady Gaga fan. Me and my wife, like we saw Gaga there in at where the Mets play, City Field,
Mhm.
and if you look at her history, like she would sing songs that are very poppy, like Poker Face or Just Dance, but she did not lose herself in there, and she knew she had to do some of these sort of things to continue doing what she wanted to. And now she's been cranking out just hit after hit, but she's writing for herself.
Well, she can really sing. She can really write. She really plays instruments.
Yeah,
So she's
talented.
yeah. It just she's unlimited. She's
Yeah,
a self-generating artist,
yeah,
and so I mean, Bad Romance is a good song.
yeah,
I've heard so many people cover that song. It's a well-made pop song.
yep,
So
yeah,
that's just what it is.
yeah,
Um, so that's in you. That's
yeah.
in you. You have the infinity. Now that your brain's finished growing, you have infinity.
Oh, I know. Yeah, my brain stopped growing when I played football. I think I've ruined my brain playing football.
Don't worry, you only use 10% of it anyway. You still got 90.
Maybe about 85%.
I told you I'm an optimist.
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up, but we're gonna talk about Halloween movies first before we wrap
Oh,
it
we are
up.
okay.
Yeah. So what have you been watching?
Oh, last night we were watching the 2004 Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
George Romero. Oh, so good, dude.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Night of the Living Dead, the first one,
Yeah.
but this one, I really like the highly saturated colors.
Yeah.
It lended a sort of like illness tinge to it,
Hmm.
as if you were looking through it like through eyes that were infected.
Yeah.
I like that a lot,
Yeah.
and then
What else
watched
is?
the South Park uh, Halloween special.
Okay.
And let's see, what else did we watch? Sean just walked out. I'd ask him. I know we watched The Mummy with Boris Karloff. We had neither one of us had seen that. That was
Okay.
good.
I need to watch those. I told you they were on Peacock. They have you can download the app for free.
Uh-huh.
And since NBC and Universal, I guess it's NBC Universal, the Universal monster movies are on Peacock. So if you want to check out that,
Yeah, we saw them for free.
the Abbott and Costello
Yeah.
meet Frankenstein, they're on there. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah. And
yep,
they're
yep.
short. The Mummy was like maybe 80 minutes or something like that.
They're short, but it was really tight. It was
Yeah.
well written, like really clean. You saw the difference. You saw like
Yeah.
from Frankenstein to The Bride
Yeah.
to The Invisible Man to The Mummy, like the
Yeah.
progression in storytelling
Yeah.
was really good.
See, that's what bothers me about this new generation of like, I'm a sucker for a good action movie. I love the Marvel films. I loved,
Hmm.
everything up until Infinity War. Everything was awesome. But between those and you had the Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter movies that were very big successes, everyone, you just saw this influx of franchises being built, and you have to build either like blockbusters based off of franchises because you need the continuation of the fan base to stay with it. And when Universal decided to introduce the Mummy as the dark universe, where they were going to make it kind of like this action kind of competitor to the DC, the Marvels, and those movies, they messed up. And that Mummy, the
Yeah.
new Mummy, was awful, which was, it's sad because they had all the tools that they needed. They had everything just there for them for the taking. And like I'm glad that Blumhouse is working with the Universal Monsters now, because Blumhouse, it's 50-50. Blumhouse can be for people and it's not. It's like they make movies for the 13-year-old kids, just to throw popcorn and talk and jump scares on a Friday night. They make their money, but then they also make Get Out, and they also make
Oh
Whiplash.
yeah,
They
Get Out was
make,
good.
they do make these kind of beautiful movies. And The Invisible Man was amazing. I really enjoyed the new Invisible Man.
I heard. I haven't seen it yet, but I
Yeah,
heard it's good. And
it's
I believe like I agree with you. Like if they just stayed away from trying to twist these monster stories that have been around a long time,
yeah,
stop trying to make them action movies and return to what they are, which is real stories about outsiders.
Outsiders.
And so and The Mummy is really about a love story,
Mm-hmm.
that's like traversed thousands of years.
Yeah,
And so like return to that. And like we saw Halloween 2018, and
yeah,
Jamie Lee Curtis comes back, and they connected it to the first Halloween,
Yes,
and it
they
was
did.
about it was about the three generations of women in this family,
Mm-hmm.
and it was good storytelling,
Yeah.
yeah,
And see,
and had the action,
that was
yeah.
a Blumhouse movie, and then they postponed Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends is going to be a following year.
Mm,
But they're doing, but also with the new Halloween, it's not only Blumhouse, it's John Carpenter's attached to it, given his approval and the
mm,
soundtrack. So that's also a huge plus for him to come back and you know, throw in his hat and his ideas and his suggestions and just, sign off on it, because he
yeah.
approved of it all. Which did you ever see Halloween the season of the witch?
No, no, I
Dude,
didn't.
you got to
You
watch that.
recommend it? Okay.
It's fun. It's just, it's not, there's no Michael Myers. It's
Wait, is that the one with they watch the TV
yeah, and it has
and the
that
song
song.
plays? Oh,
Yeah,
I have seen that one.
yeah,
I have seen that one. I forget
yeah.
that's what it's
Is
called.
it Atkins is in there and he's
I
banging
saw
everything?
it. Yeah.
He So originally what Halloween was supposed to be was an anthology.
Yes.
And it would have been fascinating to see if they had stayed with that kind of theme, where it's like every Halloween movie is going to be
It's different.
a different one. But Michael Myers took over, and it became the cult icon that it is now.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Halloween 3 is always fun. It's
Yeah.
I like the idea of it.
A lot of people love it. Yeah.
I liked it. A lot of people hate on it. They hate on it because it's not Michael Myers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people are married to that one thing, but it would have been better than American Horror Story. I just
I
got to
just
say
saw
that.
Doctor Sleep. That was good. I like that one a lot.
So if you like Doctor Sleep, you should watch more of Mike Flanagan's work, the guy who directed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
He's I think between him and Frank Darabont, they've been the only two that have really successfully adapted Stephen King's work.
I agree. Yeah.
Because Darabont did really well with The Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption.
Hmm.
And I read those books, and I was like, that was pretty close. Yes, they're going to always change a little bit of this and that.
Yeah.
But Flanagan with Dr. Sleep, he was able to blend the story of The Shining from the two viewpoints of King and Kubrick.
Yeah.
And that was awesome.
Yep.
Awesome to see.
Well done.
Very well done. I don't know how I felt about the character impersonations, but I think it worked for me. At the end of the day, I think it worked. But other than that, like, also,
You can't replicate
no,
Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall.
nope,
But you can look at the characters that King wrote
yes,
and start to what it allows you to do is start to imagine that
yeah,
these are characters as opposed to like
yeah,
virtuoso performances.
yeah,
So that's what I did. I did the shift where I was really looking at who these characters that King wrote.
exactly, and that's what Flanagan was able to do. But the little fun fact and a good Easter egg in Doctor Sleep was at the scene in the baseball field. Remember the kid there was a baseball game, and one of the parents in the stands, his man says something. I can't remember what the man says. That's the original Danny Torrance from The Shining.
Oh, I think I
Yeah,
knew that. Yeah.
yeah. So you have that connection too, which is really good. Yeah, Doctor Sleep was good. Um, but what else have you seen?
Let's see. We saw besides all those classics, we saw. I have the list right here.
Awesome.
Um, yeah. So I tried to. We saw the whole thing, Haunting of Bly House, and Bly Manor. I mean,
Blind Manor, yeah.
uh, yeah, Poltergeist, the first one.
Ooh,
Um, saw The Ring. I'd never seen The Ring.
yeah.
Session 9, Christine. I love Christine.
I love
Um,
Session 9 and Christine.
we saw a comedy one, Repossessed, with Linda Blair,
Mm-hmm.
Witches of Eastwick, and which Sean had never seen. Saw Firestarter, which I love.
Blumhouse is redoing Firestarter.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I love that one. I love
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
And then we saw, we had to watch Charlie Brown, Great Pumpkin.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and
only going to be on Apple now.
yeah, we watched it. And so like after tonight, with the 2018, or I mean 2004, Dawn of the Dead. We have everything on our list from The Omen, The Exorcist, House of a Thousand Corpses, Heredity, American Werewolf in London,
Ooh.
Omen 2, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Babadook, Suspiria 2019. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, that was good. Totally different than the original.
Mm.
Totally different than the original.
I didn't care for the original that much. I was
It's
a little,
weird.
yeah,
Yeah, the music, I like the music, but it just did not go well with everything
yeah.
for me. It's like an unpopular opinion, but people loved it. People loved the lighting of Argento's Suspiria, but the newer one, I like the darker slow burn movies.
Mm. We're gonna throw in some funny stuff. Like we're gonna throw in uh, um, what is it? Beetlejuice and Blackula,
Okay. Yeah.
and then like some of my favorite things like Village of the Damned, the original one.
Yeah. Was it the Christopher
Uh,
Reeve?
yeah, and
No, that's the new one.
no,
That's the
no,
new one.
no,
No.
no.
It's oh my god, who is it with? I'm
I
blanking.
can't remember. Yeah, it's in black
Gregory
and white.
Peck? No.
No, no,
No.
no. I can't remember. I'll watch anything with Christopher Lee. Like I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
To the Devil a Daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
Okay.
Natasha Kinski and Christopher Lee. So.
Oh man. You should really try to watch The Autopsy of Jane Doe. And I plug that movie
Mm.
everywhere I can. It's with Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch. And
Well, Brian Cox is scary.
huh? No, he's not scary in this movie. The thing is
Oh, he's
that
not?
no, they're a father and son team. They own like a morgue, and
Oh.
it opens up with there's a house. There's a police, kind of investigation going on, and they find there's obviously a murder in this house where a family gets murdered, and there's blood everywhere. But they find another body, and they can't identify the body, so it's a Jane Doe, obviously. So the sheriffs bring this body to, this father and son to do a last minute identification and find a cause of death. And as they perform the autopsy, things start unraveling and it just, you find out more and more about who this woman is. And it's a good movie. It's flown under
Just
the
put
radar.
it in. Put it on the list.
Yeah, Autopsy of Jane Doe is really good. I plug that
Dude,
because I felt it should have, especially with Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch. You would have thought a lot more people, it would have gotten a lot more love, but it's just,
hmm.
come on. Yeah, horror's my thing. Like I just, that's what I would love to do, and
Well, do it.
I want to. Like I've been
Write a
writing.
horror movie from in the valley.
I have been actually. I've been
Yeah,
working on
dude.
that. Actually, it was started out as a web series, and I've turned it into a short story collection. And so I am I'm working on that. Hopefully I can finish that soon. But I would love to do that, but then I can adapt it into a movie or a series. I'd really love to do that. So I think you froze. All right, there you are. Yeah, I
Oh, there
think you
you're back.
froze. Yeah, froze there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I think you
I'm connected to the Ethernet. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Oh, I
our
lost you.
internet. Yeah. See, this is the thing with the internet here. We're not prepared for everyone using the amount of internet that everyone's using. So we've been getting knocked out. This week, in the last 2 or 3 weeks, we've had about 2 internet outages because on both sides of our neighborhood, like on each side of our house, they're teachers and they have kids in school. Everyone's doing online learning or online teaching, and everyone's working from home. And so our internet's been getting knocked out. So it's not New York where you have, fiber optic stuff and faster internet,
Yeah.
small town life. But I
Well,
do.
don't worry about it. We had a good talk.
Yeah, no, I had a
Yeah.
great time. It's great, catching up with you and seeing you. And, It's good to hear that New York isn't a ghost town, and not everyone's dead yet. Not yet, right?
No, no. In fact, like I have like tons of new neighbors because some people did leave my building. I guess like 8 units
Yeah,
were empty, and they're all full. So like people are moving in.
it's happening. It's cyclical too. Like you said, this stuff happens. New York is not dead. For everyone listening or watching, it's not dead. It's alive and well. And I really
No,
hope that everything starts opening up really soon. You know, just
yeah. The pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic of 2018.
yeah,
That'll kind of give you an idea of what how long things take.
yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. Can we find you on Instagram or social medias? Where can we find you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm on Instagram. I like the gram
It's easier for
Insta.
me.
Um, yeah, and I like it. It's pictures. That way, I don't get
Yep,
sent a bunch of fake news. Um,
exactly.
yeah, Dave Anzuelo, Instagram.
Dave Anzuelo and then Uncle Dave's Fight House too on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check it out. As always, please hit the subscribe button, like button. Follow me at Jorge's Isolation Podcast on Instagram. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, David. Thank you once again
Yeah.
for taking
Have a good
time out of
evening.
your day to talk to my simple mind. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right. No,
All right.
brilliant mind, infinite mind.
Infinite.
All right.
All right, man. Thank you so much.